Hello everyone, my name is Ajay Poddar. I'm part of Informatica GCS team. As a part of today's presentation, we are going to see how to collect thread dump on Spark driver and executor from SparkUI for troubleshooting CDI advanced mapping issue. As a part of today's presentation, we'll be covering on this agenda: overview, steps followed by the demo. Overview: thread dumps in Spark are key debugging tool for monitoring both driver and executor processes. From the Spark UI, we can capture thread dump for the driver under the jobs or stages tabs and for the executor in the executor tabs. These dumps provide detailed insight into the thread activity, helping us to detect bottleneck, deadlock, and stuck scenario. They are invaluable for performance tuning, diagnosing execution issues across the distributed environment. So now let's see on the steps how we can take the thread dump on Spark driver and executor using Spark UI. So in order to take the thread dump on Spark driver and executor from Spark UI, the advanced cluster should be up and running. So to start the advanced cluster, you need to execute your problematic mapping where you want to collect the J stack. So this is my problematic mapping, which is in very long running state, and I'll be collecting the thread dump for the Spark driver and executor for this mapping only. So when you run this mapping, make sure the advanced cluster is up and running. So for me it's up, as I can see my Infi Spark is in the running status. So now once the advanced cluster is up and running, you need to execute these two environment variable, that is kubeconfig and path, from the secure agent machine. So in this kubeconfig environment variable, you need to update the secure agent home, SQL server latest version, and the cluster ID. I have updated the secure agent home, and for getting the SQL server latest version, you can execute the command ps-ef pipe grep at _ scale. So once you execute this command, you will see the process on the running state, and here you can see the SQL server current version which is in being used. So for me it is 46.0.3.1. Copy this version and substitute the value in this environment variable. And once you substitute the value to the SQL server agent, you need to update the cluster ID. So for getting the cluster ID, you can check the advanced mapping session log. This is my advanced mapping. Download the session log, and from this session open the session execution log. So in the session execution log, in the first line only, you will see the cluster instance ID, and here you will see the cluster ID. So for me it is $qv ending with .local. Copy this cluster ID and update in this environment variable. So once you update all the value in this environment variable path, copy this environment variable and execute it from the secure agent machine. This is my secure agent machine. I'm able to set the environment variable. So similarly, you will need to execute this path environment variable. Here also you need to update the secure agent home SQL server agent. Copy this path environment variable once you have updated the value, and execute it from the secure agent machine. This one also I am able to execute successfully. So now once you set those two environment variable, you need to execute this kubectl get pods -a command, where you will see the list of the running pod which is started by the advanced mapping. And from this list of the running pod, you need to identify the Spark driver pod name as mentioned in this screen. So here you can see the first one is Spark with some number and ending with driver is the Spark driver pod name. Execute the command kubectl get pods -a. So I'm able to execute this command, and here you can see my Spark driver pod which is in the running state. Copy this driver pod name. So now once you get the Spark driver pod name, you need to execute this command kubectl port forward --address, and in this you need to update your internal IP address of your secure agent machine space and the driver pod name space the destination port. So the destination port you can assign anything which is open for port forwarding, and colon 4040. So 4040 is the default port for the Spark UI. You can validate it from this Spark driver log searching with the keyword Spark UI. So this command will forward the port 4040 to your local system port. So in this kubectl port forward command, update the internal IP of your secure agent machine. So for that you can execute the command host name -i, copy this IP address and substitute the value and the driver pod name. So here you need to update the pod name which you have identified using this kubectl get pod -a command. So the first one is my Spark driver pod name. Copy this Spark driver pod name and substitute the value here. Now destination port you can give any port which is open in your system. So I will give 8080 and 404 is the default port. Once you substitute the value, copy this command and execute it from the secure agent machine. So once you have executed this command, you will see the forwarding from your internal IP address 8080. Now copy this IP address along with the port number and open it from the browser. From this web browser, paste the IP address and the port number. Here you will see the SparkUI. Click on Executor and here you will see the driver and one executor. Now if you want to take the thread dump on driver, then click on this thread dump and click on expand all. So you will see the thread dumps here. Now for saving this thread dump, click Ctrl P from your system and select here option save as PDF and save this PDF into your file system. So similarly you will be able to take the thread dump for the executor as well. Click on thread dump for the executor, expand all, and to save this thread dump, Ctrl P, save as PDF and save to your local system. So similarly you need to take the thread dump in multiple time interval. So for that you reopen this thread dump tab in equal time interval. You can collect the multiple thread dumps for Spark driver and executor for troubleshooting CDI advanced mapping issue. So once you have collected the thread dumps from the SparkUI, you can log into same machine, and once all the thread dumps is collected, you can exit from this port forwarding. Press Ctrl C. You will be terminated from this port forwarding session. So similarly you will be able to collect the multiple thread dumps on Spark driver and executor from the SparkUI. So for more detailed information on collecting the thread dump from SparkUI and the list of the command, please refer this KB article. We'd love to hear from you. You can send us a mail to supportvideos@informatica.com or tweet us at twitter.com/infasupport. Thank you.